We is back, y'all. What it is, welcome back to your favorite podcast, More Than the Title. You know what it is. I'm your host, as usual, Jarrett, Chief Revenue Officer, Outside the Box Digital. And you know I got my brother, my brethren, your favorite CEO, Chadeo. Cuz, what's good,
yeah,
baby?
It's easy for you now.
I'm ready to go, man. I'm ready to call. I transform like that.
Yeah, you got that shit right now. I like that. Listen, ladies and gentlemen, you know we out of control. Listen, from the moment this fucking red light going, we out of control. So you know what it is, man. More Than the Title. We back in the building. Me and Cuzzo, testosterone fueled, ready to go, jet engine. But you know we gotta calm it down. So you know up there, look, see, I can't up this. Which way is this way? It's this way. Up there. What's that game show? Squares, Hollywood Squares. I would fail on that. We know we got the balance in the building, aka Nadege, to calm this testosterone down and give y'all a more smooth ride. Nadege, what up, girl?
Oh, you know what's up. I'm here. We live. Love y'all. Love y'all down. Every day is a great day with y'all. And of course, it's Pod Day, our favorite day of the week. So, you know, Jarrett, let them know who we got today.
We got start.
Before we do that, Nadege, I gotta say phenomenal, ladies and gentlemen. I've been forgetting to say it, but I'm not gonna forget it. We got another phenomenal guest. I'm saying it to you right now, so you know what that means, right?
Get your tape decks ready. Get your VCRs ready.
Old school.
Get your screen record ready. Get it ready. Because this man is about to drop gems, but you know how we like to start every show. G&T, grateful and thankful. I want to do something a little different today and this month. It's a lot of birthdays for a lot of people that we deal with and we hang out with. So I want to say I'm grateful and thankful. We're going to start grateful to be a part of, you know, people's birthdays and celebrations. Happy birthday to everybody out there that we know that has a birthday this month in May. You understand what I'm saying? I believe this is what, like Taurus going into Gemini. Is that what it is? Taurus going into Gemini. So all the Tauruses that started the beginning of the month, all the Geminis now coming up towards the end of the month, man. We love y'all. Happy birthday. Thankful that you got a chance to see another year, right? And celebrate life, because nowadays that's really what we want to do. We want to celebrate life. Talk to me, Cuzzo.
Oh no, I was you, nigga. You cooking.
Okay. So that's what it is, man. GMC, happy birthday to all our May babies, right? Geminis and Tauruses, and we, you know, well wishes and more blessings from the More Than the Title family.
But I will say it's our season coming up. Gemini, we will be in Cannes on the B-Day, and we're going to show out. We showing out on the B-Day. First day of Cannes is my birthday. You're going to get all this footage, y'all. So that's more to come. But let's introduce our brother. You know what I'm saying? Let's give him.
Let's start this.
Let's get his brother the proper intro. First of all, this brother is someone who's redefining what leadership looks like in the modern world, y'all. He began his career at Goldman Sachs on the foreign exchange desk, but that was just the beginning. He's been recognized across the board for his innovative thinking and impact, making prestigious lists like Fast Company's 100 most creative people in business, Inc.'s 30 under 30, Crane's 40 under 40, Vanity Fair's Future Innovators Index, Adweek's Young Influentials, and many more. He's now the founder and CEO of 2045 Studio, a game-changing platform helping executives at over 50 major corporations become inclusive leaders. And if that ain't enough, he's also one of the brains behind Jody AI, a generative AI platform built for real-time DEI support. So he's not one of the people just talking it. He's walking it, y'all. You've seen him on the stage. You've seen him at We Go Rise. You're going to see him at Black Week. I believe he was there at Black Week, but you're going to see this brother everywhere, man. He's bad, and we're glad to call him our brother. Let's welcome Mr. Porter Braswell, y'all. Oh my God.
Yeah. What a nice intro. I appreciate it.
Welcome.
Bro, you 30 under 30, 40 under 40, 20 under 20. You
That's crazy. That's crazy.
You a
I
bad
ain't gonna
man.
lie, Porter. Now you're gonna make me rethink my fucking life. Why wasn't I 20 under 20? I was getting to it. What's the requirements for it?
It's great to be with you all. Appreciate the love and support, and it's been an amazing journey. So
that's what's up, man. So let's start it from the beginning of the journey, man. Tell us about, growing up with some early influences, brother.
So let's see. So I'm from New Jersey. And my dad, a little bit of context. So my dad's from the South Bronx, first person in his family to go to college.
Hold on, don't speed through that. Don't speed through that. Hold on, don't speed through that. big Bronx energy. You can't just speed through that, Porter. Not on this show. You gotta pause when you talk about the big Bronx energy.
So from the Bronx, and an amazing success story. Went to Syracuse on a swimming scholarship, got into Rutgers Newark Law School, started working at a publicly traded utility company, became general counsel of that company. The company was sold, and then he became a state administrative law judge in New Jersey. And my mom is from Westchester, New York, and she was a teacher throughout my entire life. And so I grew up in the type of household where to be successful, and I put air quotes around that, you have to be a doctor, you have to be a lawyer, you can go into finance. And you better have an opinion at the dinner table. It's a very competitive household. And I played competitive sports. I played basketball at Yale. My sister played golf at Rutgers. So we were all D1 athletes. So it was a very competitive household. And I think looking back, a lot of those ingredients definitely planted the seeds for being an entrepreneur, running through obstacles, never taking no for an answer. But it starts with like that type of upbringing.
That's real. Shout out to the parents, man. My bro went to Yale and played D1 ball. What the heck? I wouldn't have thought that. I ain't gonna lie. We have to take you to the court, bro. Take you to the
You don't want to do that.
Porter, he ain't got it no more. I got $5 on you, Porter. He ain't got it no more. He ain't got it no more. I got five on you, Porter.
Content purposes, Porter. For content only.
What's the spread? What's the spread? I'm covering the spread.
-10. Porter.
Game to 11.
So, let me ask you a question, Porter. So, we always talk about pressure. Let's talk about early pressure. Let's talk about the fact that you grew up with both parents, and both parents are super successful, right? What type of pressure does that now? Was it a household where it was like, okay, listen, we're successful, we want you to be successful, but we're going to let you spread your wings and do your own thing? Or was it like a tug and pull between both parents? Like, who's your favorite? Who you going to follow? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, what was that like, with you growing up and then eventually choosing a career choice or career path?
So I think what's important about that particular topic is A, defining pressure. Right. What does that even mean? What does that even feel like? And B, same thing for success. What is success and what does that feel like?
Right.
And I think I've never felt pressure. I've always felt expectations. And I have expectations for myself as well. And when I think about the context of success, to me, you have to be able to define that for yourself. And I've defined it over the years as being able to strive towards your potential, but never actually achieving it. And if you are doing that, then you are successful, in my opinion. And so I think that if you are, if you have expectations for yourself and you feel like you're striving towards what you're capable of doing, but not hitting it, and you take those ingredients, like amazing things can happen. And I think my parents created an environment where my sister and I always felt that we were called to do something. What that something is, I didn't know how it was going to manifest itself, but we felt that we had a purpose and a responsibility to strive towards something, to be excellent, in whatever that pursuit ended up being. So no, I never felt pressure, but I felt like I was called to do something with the time that I have, on this earth. And I'm also a person of faith, and that's important to me as well. I believe we were all called. And so it's just a matter of being able to identify what that calling is and to have the courage to answer it. But with that courage comes the upbringing and, breathing life into somebody and saying that you're capable and, you're going to achieve amazing things. So I think
this motherfucker don't miss.
No, he's fucking.
He's good. No, he's good. No, he's good.
Masterclass. This is definitely about to be a masterclass.
He's good.
Celebration, bitches.
He's phenomenal. I love it.
No, I love that. So you mentioned like managing those expectations, like expectations set for yourself. Like, how did you manage that? And when did you feel like maybe you didn't meet those expectations? How did you cope with that? And continue your pursuit of your calling?
So I feel like again, like I have to use sports as the analogy on this, but you know what you're capable of. You know what the standard is. You've seen it in others. You've reached it. You've achieved it in certain instances. So when you're not living up to that, then you know that you're not giving it your all. Like, you just have to care enough and have enough self-respect that if you're not hitting that standard, and you have to course correct yourself. And if you're not willing to do that, then that means you're willing to live an average life. And I've never felt myself being content being average in anything. And again, I think that's just the expectations and the life that my parents kind of breath into my sister and myself. So I don't know. It's a very insightful question, though.
Message.
That was
Yeah. So what is it like? I have a younger brother. So like, what was your brother-sister dynamic like?
Competitive. And I think that if there's something that my parents didn't do well, it's that they allowed my sister and I to be competitive with each other. And that I think she and I both operated as if it was like a zero-sum game. That if I got something, then she was losing something, or if she got something, then I was losing something. And that led to us being, having a deep desire to win and to excel. But it wasn't the healthiest relationship with my sister, and I was the youngest child. And my experience, we grew up in a very white suburban town, and even though we lived in the same household, we had two very different childhoods. And what I've come to appreciate years ago is that growing up as a Black female in a white town is materially different than growing up as a Black male in a white town. I'm accepted and she isn't. And when she would come home and share the stories that she was sharing, I didn't do a good enough job validating her existence, because I would say, well, that's not happening to me. You must be tripping. And I added to her bad experience growing up in that type of environment. And I'm
It's powerful though, what you're saying.
It's through a lot of self-reflection in terms of, what could I have done better as a brother. Now we're super close. Like now we're, like right before this call, I was on the phone with her and she turned 40 today. And so we're very close with each other now. Perfect. But it's taken me being, acknowledging being the younger brother and getting away with everything, and her not having that same type of opportunity. And so anyway, our relationship has evolved over the years. But now that I have 3 kids, 5 and under, I have a 5-year-old daughter, a 3-year-old daughter, and a 14-week-old son. We do it very differently. How we're raising our children. I refuse to allow them to be competitive with each other. Even though we have enough bedrooms for everybody, have more than enough space. My 2 daughters sleep in the same bedroom. I really want them to develop to be best friends with each other. So we do things a little bit differently, and it's just through learnings, and you learn and you grow.
I ain't gonna lie though, Porter. You killed my comeback, because I was like, I wish I had an older sister. I'd have been best friends. Like, yo, bring your friends over. Bring your friends. Bring your friends. I'd have been like on her leg every time she walked. I'd have been the little brother. Like, wherever you go, I go.
We a package deal.
Package deal.
That's one with the younger brother. Yeah, that's exactly like. Y'all want me my little brother this weekend? Yeah.
Yeah. It's important that you talked about that dynamic though, because I think that's also important to understanding how you were shaping your psyche, right? A competitive nature started in home with your sibling, right? With your sibling. And even though it was, let's say it, for the most part, it was still healthy because of the dynamic of what it was, right?
Yeah.
What you acknowledged was the relationship-based value that you would have had if you weren't so competitive would have developed more, which you have now, right? So I think that's an important aspect to have touched on, because now you get to use that experience now that you're a parent to say, okay, I know what I went through. Let me reframe that now to make sure that my children don't experience the same thing that we went through.
Now, I will also say, though, it is rare in a family of four, mom, dad, daughter, and son, to have two children who become Division I athletes. So there is something around that's not normal.
Right.
And so sometimes there are environments and situations you put the family dynamic in where it's like, if that's going to be the outcome,
right,
you go through battles. Like it's hard to achieve that level of success in a given sport, right, let alone having two kids play two competitive sports with the travel on the weekends and all the craziness that comes with that. It's a huge sacrifice on both parents. And as a kid, you have to, if that's going to be your outcome, you have to have like this switch that you turn on where you just become, like nothing's going to stop you from achieving success in that pursuit of being an athlete. And so it's hard to have that many people who have that switch in the same household.
Yeah, man. But when did the switch hit for you? Because if you're going to D1 basketball, that's a lot of your time, right? When did the business come to play? When did you feel like, all right, this is what I have to do outside of sports?
So post my sports career, so after graduating from college, I started at Goldman, and I got the competitive juices of being on the sales desk, on the FX desk. So I used to buy and sell currencies and help facilitate that for our clients. And it's a very competitive atmosphere, and I really enjoyed that. But I felt very average at that. Like anybody could have done that. If you were trained to learn how to do that, which I learned on the desk, then anybody can do that. So I felt like a cog in the wheel. And it was the first time where I felt replaceable. Like they don't really need me in this seat. Like anybody can occupy this seat. I'm very fortunate and very blessed that I have this seat, but there's nothing that protects me from holding on to this seat because I'm not exceptional at, oh, you want to buy 100 million euros? 100 million euros mine. Like anybody can do that type of transaction when you talk back and forth to a trader. So I think it was like in that period of time when I realized like the power that comes with feeling exceptional at something, feeling like you want to be successful, so striving towards your potential and not hitting it. I didn't feel like I was being successful while sitting in that seat, which then triggered me trying to figure out what do I want to do. And it manifested itself into me being an entrepreneur.
You're bad, man. I like it. I like it. I love it.
I mean, well, we spoke about the feeling, Jarrett, on the last couple of podcasts of when you first get a job, Porter, right? And you like, even if it's not your dream job, you're excited, right? You have this certain level of energy and you walk in with a certain mindset, right? Like I'm going to go in, I'm going to do this. I'm going to change this and this is going to be me. And then after a certain amount of time, you realize like, even though this is a good spot, maybe financially I'm good, economically I'm good, all the perks I'm good, but it's not fulfilling me. When do you make the decision to say, you know what, even though it's the cushy job, I got peace of mind is everything. I got to move away from that. So I'm glad that you said that, because that's been a hot topic for the last couple of podcasts that we had, when to know when to pivot.
So I think that to me, where that hits and how that resonates is that moment in time, I view it as a catalyst. And I think that for anybody to make a change, there has to be a catalyst that happens. Something has to awaken you to like this situation. Yeah. Sometimes it could be positive. Sometimes it could be negative. Sometimes it could be a tragedy. For me, it was a tragedy. I was in my first year at Goldman Sachs, and my cousin passed away in his early 30s, and he had a tragic accident, fell off a mountain, went missing for a long time. He was a part of the FDNY. And when they eventually located his body and found it and brought it back, there was a hero salute and a goodbye to him. They shut down like half of New York City. We had a police motorcade drive us down like the West Side Highway and shut down the church. And if you've seen a person who serves in either the military or the police force or the fire department or the medical staff, like they line up the streets with those professionals. And it is the most, inspiring, sad, all the emotions when you see that and you're a part of the family who's going through that. But what dawned on me is that how much impact his name is Lenny Joyner, made in his time that he had on Earth in his early 30s. Like, that's impact, that's living, that's success. And so that was my catalyst to wake up to the fact that like life can end, and it can end in the most unexpected of ways. And so it's like, what do you do with the time that you have? And it's not about making money. It's not about the notoriety. It's about striving towards your potential and feeling fulfilled. And so anyway, so that was my catalyst. But yes, to your point, everybody has a catalyst or that moment when you realize like my peace of mind matters more than anything else.
Wow. So then tell us about like you're starting your own business now, right? Well, what were the challenges in that, right? Like what were some of the lessons you, especially getting it up, right? Because we're entrepreneurs too, right? And we must have pivoted 5 times, and that was just last month. You know what I'm saying? Hey yo. Pivot is not yours.
You said getting it up was crazy.
What?
You said getting it up. Yeah, you said I just didn't like the tone of you was like the way you was getting it up. I didn't like the tone.
I didn't. All right, yo, YouTubers, let me know if I said that. I don't think I did.
Didn't like the tone of it.
I don't know. If not, then, but you know what I mean. All right, we pivoted a lot. what did
pivoting is a part of it. So for me, the most challenging thing in my process was, well, one, I knew I didn't want to do finance, and so I didn't know I wanted to be an entrepreneur, but I knew I didn't want to work in finance. So after my first year, after my cousin passed, I spent the second year writing, reflecting, and applying to a lot of jobs at all tech companies. I decided I wanted to break into tech. And so I applied to jobs at Uber, Dropbox, Box, a friend's startup, a startup I didn't know, a startup that I didn't have any connection to. And while I got the first interview and we make it to the second round, I never made it beyond that. And everybody kept saying, is that you don't qualify because you don't work at a tech company. But here I am, having only found success in my life, graduating from great university, working at a great job, but yet they're not recognizing the transferable skill sets that would apply to a basic sales job that pays significantly less than I was making. They didn't recognize that. And so it was really frustrating. And this is now 2014, when all of the tech companies started coming out with their lack of diversity stats. And they kept saying there's a lack of diversity because it's a pipeline challenge. The talent doesn't exist. So here I am banging on the door for jobs I'm overqualified for, can't get in, eventually decided, you know what? I'll build my own tech company and I will help diverse folks like myself break into jobs that they are overqualified for. And did that.
Fire. What was the idea for the tech? Like, because building tech is a very difficult thing. You got to have the right developers. You got to have some VC. You got to have some capital, right, to get it up and running. Like, what did that look like?
I disagree with all of that, and because there's many different ways to be a founder. There's many different types of companies you can build. Some companies require capital. Some companies don't. Some companies are required to be a tech company. So there's many different ways to go about this, right? And I say that because I don't want people listening or whomever to believe that if they don't have a very certain skill set that they can't build a thing. Like, you can. You definitely can. There's no obstacles that you can't overcome. So because so many people in our community don't even get going. They don't even start the race because they see all these things that they have to do. And they're like, I don't know anybody who works in VC. I'm not technical. I don't know anybody who's been an entrepreneur who's scaled the company. Yeah. That was me. I'm still non-technical. I didn't know anybody who worked in venture capitalists, who was a venture capitalist. I didn't know entrepreneurs who looked like me. It's not to say that they didn't exist. I just didn't know them. But none of that prevented me from starting the race because ignorance is bliss. So I didn't even know that was going to be the things I would have to overcome. And if I had known that, I probably wouldn't have started. So I went in it with just the mentality of I'm frustrated that people are saying diverse talent doesn't exist. That's stupid. And here I am. So I'm going to figure this out for myself, because if it's happening to me, I know it's happening to everybody else who looks like me. Yeah. So I was like, there's got to be something here. So being non-technical, I was like, well, I can't build a platform, but what I can do is sell, because I knew how to. That's what I did. I did sales at FX. So my buddy Ryan, who left Goldman with me to go build Jopwell, we looked at each other on day one at this little small office, and we said, we can't build a platform, so let's go make a pitch deck because that's what we can do. And let's go to this thing called the network that we've been building our whole lives that people told us would be really important to build. Go to them and explain what we're trying to do. That network answered the call. And we basically went to a couple of customers, went right back to our employer at Goldman and said, if we build this recruiting platform that can give you access to top diverse talent, would you be willing to pay us to get access to that? And Goldman Sachs and many other notable companies all said yes. So then we went to family, friends, and former colleagues and said, look, all these companies said that if we build this thing, they would pay us for it. Will you provide us capital so we can take the capital to go hire somebody who can build it? They said yes. So then we got capital, and then we went and hired an external development shop and brought in a full-time CTO to go build the platform. That happened. People got onto the platform. Those companies were there. They started hiring people. We started getting paid. And then all of a sudden, we're 150 employees and we raised, whatever. And we sold the company 8 years later. So like crazy story. There's a lot that happened, obviously, throughout that. But those were the building blocks. And it was like step by step by step by step. And then it worked.
So we have to stop right there because Porter, we also talk about something that's very integral to success that a lot of people seem to forget about, especially our community, because they don't see this part. It's the support system. Notice what you said, right? You had an idea, you knew you couldn't do it by yourself. You went to your partner, your coworker. Hey, will you support me in this idea? He said yes. That's support level one. Then you said, okay, we came up with the idea. Then you went to the companies, but because you already had a good rapport with the company, you did what you had to do. They knew what your capabilities was. When you presented the idea, you said you did a deck, right? So again, that support system helped you be prepared enough to ask for support at the next level. They said yes. Then you went to friends and family, right? Private funding, right? Instead of going out to a bank or, VC and saying, hey, listen, we got this. We got the yeses. Will you believe in me? Will you believe in me on this business risk? Because at the end of the day, like you said, you've never built it before. And the people that you're asking to support you might not even really understand what you're building. But do you have faith in me? Again, do you know my work ethic? Do you know that I'm going to get this thing done? Will you support me? And they said yes. So that's 3 tiers right off the back of support. That is super important that you acknowledge that, because a lot of times, people get them, oh, nobody helped me. I did this on my own. And we keep trying to explain to people that you cannot create something entirely on your own. And at some point in time, you're going to ask somebody for help, ask somebody for advice, funding, something, right? So it's very important that you acknowledge that, man, because we need to understand how important a support system is, right?
It's critical. But and beyond that too, it's not about the end outcome. Like those people who supported me, they supported me because yes, they thought it was a good idea, but more importantly, they just wanted me to have a shot at something.
There you go.
And it wasn't going to be, oh, I can make $100 million off your back. Like it wasn't about that. It was, you know what? Like you're a good person. You're going to figure it out. And if it's not this, it's going to be something else you're going to figure out. And you're going to remember that I supported you. And I do. And so now, like you want to give people their chance. And again, it's not through the lens of, it's not charity. It's just that like you're investing in like that person, and you just have to have the faith that they're going to figure it out at some point in their life. And when they do, they're going to do the ladder down for the next person. And it's just a part of the craft. And you do it to the next person. And everybody has that responsibility to kind of keep paying it back.
That's fire.
Yeah.
That's fire. You got some, sis? I got a couple on the tech platform.
No, I want to talk about more like about your experience working with that company. Like, what was some common misconceptions you saw when it came to diversity, equity, inclusion when working with like those large companies and bringing in people?
Man, there's so much to that. Okay, so first and foremost, which like still to this day drives me insane, is that some individuals associate diversity with lowering the bar. And so to even get into What I would refuse to do is make 2 sales. And what I mean by that is sale number 1 would be why diversity matters. And then sale number 2 would have to be, and therefore you should use our platform to help with your diversity recruiting. If I found myself making 2 sales, I found that I was in a losing battle and I never wanted to work with those companies. So once we established Jopwell as a brand, I only chose to work with companies where I had to make 1 sale, which was you should use our platform, because they already had the idea, knew that like it's the diversity of the organization that makes them strong, that it's not lowering the bar, that we can't remain relevant if we don't have a workforce that's reflective of what America looks like. And so I only focus on businesses where I had to make that 1 pitch. Just use the platform because they got that first one. They got the first concept already.
You identified your ICP. That's it. Narrowed it down. Why am I going to pitch people that don't get it? I don't have to do all of that stuff. Let me pitch to people that actually want the diverse talent, and I'm going to funnel the diverse talent right to them. It's a win-win situation, right?
Exactly.
When people come on a platform, what was the vetting process like too, though, right? You getting these users, you building the brand out. Like, how did that work to make sure that they don't go in there?
So it goes back to my experiences, and this is one of the most exciting things about being a founder. You build it selfishly. Like, I built Jopwell because that's what I needed. So who am I to determine who's qualified or not qualified to be on the platform? That's what, like, I experienced people being like, oh, you're not qualified, therefore we didn't hire you. And I'm like, you're an idiot. I'm overqualified for your job, and you're welcome for applying to this stupid thing. And
talk that talk.
And so who am I to build a platform to then say, oh, gatekeeping, you don't qualify to be on this platform? So we never put barriers up in terms of who would qualify to be on the platform. What we did do is ensure that you had a thorough profile, meaning you had to take time to get through the sign-up process so that when you were on the platform, now you were going to put your best foot forward. So for those who weren't willing to take the time to spend 10 minutes before you even had access to the opportunities, that was the filtering out. But we didn't filter people out. We filter people out based on, are you willing to invest the energy? Because if you're willing to invest the energy, we will willing to invest our networking, community and technology to make those connections.
So real simple, ladies and gentlemen, that goes back to another topic that we continually talk about on this show, having skin in the game. It's not asking for something without contributing something and showing that you are willing to invest in a product or a service that you now want to invest in you. So you got to have skin in the game. I love that answer. I absolutely love that answer.
Great way
that was real.
Yeah, that's like a hell of a filter. Because most times, right? If you really want to break into tech, and then you don't want to go through a 10-minute profile, right? Like you said, you're not the right ICP, you're not the right customer for me. And you know what's crazy to me, right? I got into tech sales, and I didn't have that background. I was the one that kind of snuck through the back door. So when you saying that, like, I come from the university, I was doing this, bro. I was going for a hospital job, and they told me to sell a pencil like straight out of Wolf of Wall Street. And next thing you know, I'm selling digital ads. And the first day they going around the room, I'm from Buffalo, I'm from all these different places. I'm from Evander Childs High School in the Bronx, and I'm gonna outsell all y'all. I don't know what I'm gonna sell, but guess what? I'm not going back to going to BBQs, and I'm not going back to the block, and I'm not doing this. So if this is my shot, I'm gonna outsell you. And we end up doing $250 a quarter for 8 straight quarters, and that's when we went to Cannes, bro. So to hear your story, it's like, damn, like we were going through that too. But also being in the game, when you get into tech, there's a whole nother set of barriers that you have to face. The self, that's what we created, right? When you said I created something for myself, that's what more than a title was for us. It was something that we have a voice, we got something to say, we've been through some shit. I know marketing, I got 15 years of experience. But guess what? There's not going to be many people that's going to do it in a hat and a hoodie, sitting Indian style on the couch with his family, right? So like, how does that look like, right? And let's get other people to have a real conversation, because these are the conversations we really want to have, and we all dealing with some shit, and we need to hear it, and we need to deal with it together.
Yeah, 100%. 100%.
I'm curious to know real quick, Porter, what was your degree field of study that when you graduated? Yeah, what was your degree?
I did political science.
Right. So that's something else that we talk. I know we kind of went past that, but now think about where your journey led you to what you actually studied in school, right? Because now here comes the conversation of, is it worth going to school for most people that might not get a scholarship to play sports or an academic scholarship because of their GPA, right? Is it worth going to school and ending up coming out in that type of debt, right, to get an education? Because statistics say that most people, whatever the number is, 70, 80%, end up getting a job or a career in something other than what they studied in school and got this piece of paper for, right? So, or is it better now to try to apply for some type of an internship or apprenticeship right into the sector that you want to go in and learn from the ground level and build your way up? What's your thoughts on that?
Go to school.
Oh, you still say go to school?
Because society at large tells too many folks who look like us, oh, you don't need to worry about school. Don't worry about that. You go just get right into your career path. I'm in rooms with people who don't look like us. They're not talking about that. They're talking about go get your 4-year degree, and we're going to figure out what network you're going to get access to that's going to break you into whatever you need to break into, and you're going to work your way up. And that's just the realness. So 100%, go get as educated as you possibly can get. Go get those degrees, because they can never take that away from you. And I am telling you, that's not being discussed in societies that don't look like us.
So you don't consider that like a waste of time, like almost like spinning your wheels? Because a lot of people, like, let's look at what's just going on nowadays, right? Most people end up deferring their payment, especially if you continue with your education, right? Beyond just getting your bachelor's, maybe go to grad school, end up getting your master's, etc. Right? Now you got this debt for this degree, this debt for this degree. Now you come out and you get this job that's low level entry, and you start to defer your payments and things of that nature. And now a lot of Americans are finding themselves in a very hard financial bind because they have so much debt that now when you get this job, it takes you so long to get to a level where you can actually start living, because you have to pay off all of this debt, that now it's almost like, you know what I mean? Like,
so here's the thing. There are many conversations happening here at the same time.
Right.
And they need to be broken out into different things. Like, is overcoming debt challenging and difficult? 100%. Are there pathways where you can just accelerate to start getting paid? 100%. Does it still remain the case in America that people will hold unconscious bias against you if you don't have a 4-year degree? 100%. Will you still not be considered for opportunities because you don't have a 4-year degree? 100%. So to have this conversation, I think we have to start with, what's the outcome we're trying to achieve? Is it like, what type of career do we want? What types of rooms do we want to have access to? What do we want people saying about us when in closed doors? If we're not going to start there, it's impossible just to like find alignment with like, how do you achieve that?
Message. He's good.
I like it, but these type of conversations have to be had, Porter, because
I'll tell you this. I'll tell you this.
Go ahead, cook.
There is no world in which I'm sitting in this seat having this conversation without you, with you guys, if I did not pursue the educational path I pursued. There's no world in which Porter Braswell, maybe somebody else might be here, but there's no world in which I would not be here, because I have relied so heavily on getting the benefit of the doubt because of what I've done academically and then professionally, that the next thing that's in front of me, I get the benefit of the doubt because of what I've done previously. And so my whole life is that narrative. And so for me, if I'm not going to the schools I went to and doing what I did with sports and starting my career at a prestigious firm, I'm not sitting here and I'm not getting the benefit of the doubt. So I can only speak through my personal experience, and that is what I will have my 3 kids pursue as well. And you will never hear me tell my 3 kids, don't pursue college. So if I'm not going to tell that to my 3 kids, people are going to be playing by different rules. And that's how this country operates. And I don't want to be the one telling our community, don't pursue that. Don't worry about that. You're good. Don't worry about the debt. Like, that, you're not going to get that out of my mouth.
That's real. I like that.
I respect it.
What are one of the, I'm curious now, like one of So you built it up, then you scaled it, then you guys sold it, right? Before you get to the acquisition and the sale, right? What was one of the biggest success stories from your platform that you remember? What's one of those, bro? Did somebody hit you up in the DM, was like, yo, look, I'm at such and such now, and I'm the VP of this and this and that.
It's such a
Is there like one that really
it's so many 100. I mean, like
you got 100.
100. Okay, so let's start with. But let me just say this: the general feeling is one of just like a deep sense of appreciation for people trusting in the platform, and a deep sense of humility that like tens of thousands of people got jobs because of the platform, and like I told you so, because I knew this thing needed to exist, because I needed it to exist for me, and it wasn't there. And so literally still to this day, people will come up and share stories. So it can be from, remember when I said I was applying to all these tech jobs and I couldn't get into it?
Yeah.
One of the hiring managers at Uber applied for a job at Jopwell. And she was like, remember when you applied for my job and I interviewed you? I was like, yeah, I remember that. Now that you're saying that, I remember that. And she's like, yeah, that's so crazy. Like, I would love to, like, and she made this pitch. I was like, yeah, no, this is not going to work. You're not going to work here. That was a great day. I mean, going back on Yale's campus and seeing like 7 basketball players got their internships because of us. At one point, there was a stat that 1 in 4 students of color who go to an Ivy League school had a Jopwell profile. And so early days, just being able to walk around these campuses and people coming up to me being like, hey, I just got my internship because of Jopwell. And it was like, I was in your seat not long ago and you were using the platform. Friends that I'm like truly friends with, after the fact of getting a job, came up to me and told me that they used the platform to get the job. And they didn't call me like, hey, like I'm on the platform. Can you, like, they just used the platform, which was like so cool to hear like how that impacted folks. I mean, hundreds of stories have happened over the 8 years that I haven't done a good enough job of taking a step back and reflecting on it, because I'm still very much in the journey. I'm still so young. I'm still so in this journey that I haven't allowed myself the time for reflection. And I just think that's a trait that I wish, to slow down a little bit more sometimes.
Felt that.
I love that. We got a saying for that real quick. And I know Nadege about to jump in. We call that impact over metrics, Porter. That's we live by that. That's like our motto. You understand? Impact, like there is no ROI for that. Plain and simple. There's no way to quantify you being able to change so many people's lives, which then change their families' dynamics, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. It's a domino effect. It's a snowball effect. So we love and we respect that answer, because that's what we live by. Like Cuzzo said, we created this for the impact over the metrics, because even though you might not have come from different neighborhoods, a lot of our stories are very similar. So people need to continually see people like yourself, hear your story and say, oh man, another person like us is successful. Another person did this. And guess what? Even though he played sports, he found success somewhere else, right? What's that opportunity like? I didn't even know that was an opportunity. I didn't even know that was a career path. So, this is why we created this platform, because we need to hear stories just like this more often, because we're flooded every day with so many of the negative ones, right? Yeah, now that, I know you was about to say something.
Yeah, no worries. I got 2 questions. So first, let's start with, how did you come up with the name for the platform? Oh, I feel like this is really good.
Yeah. So Ryan and I both wanted to create a word. We did not want it to be tied down to a very specific definition. And there are a lot of amazing nonprofits that do fabulous work in this space, but it's very literal. And so we wanted to approach diversity recruiting first and foremost from a for-profit perspective, rather than not be a not-for-profit. When people think of diversity, historically, they thought of it being a not-for-profit. And so we thought, well, what the hell does Google mean, or any other tech name? And we were like, let's just create a name. And so through different inspiration, we came up with Jopwell, and we defined it over time.
That's crazy. Like make it a verb. That's it. You top down. Yeah, I like it though. I like it. So what was the acquisition process like? When did you guys
Hold
know?
on, she had a second part to the question. She had a second part to the question. Yeah.
Okay.
She had another one.
Before we jump into the next part, I want to talk to you about like giving some advice to the young founders out there, especially those of color, and like what are some advice you can give to them just getting started, gaining capital, getting support, and being underestimated in this space.
So 100%. The thing I still am always thinking about too as well is that you can't build a big business before you build a small business.
Message.
Think about scale, and they want to think about raising money, and they want to think about all these things. None of that matters. I challenge founders, myself included, when I'm thinking of new concepts. Make $10,000. Make $100,000. Go do that before even thinking about scale or thinking about raising outside capital. Go build something that on day one is profitable. It is the most challenging and difficult thing to do. It's often easier to go raise money, to hide the fact that you actually don't have traction, to build something that people may not want. And then you spend all this energy, political capital, time just to find that there is no demand there. And it is the hardest challenge for a founder, myself included, to like constantly remind ourselves that like the first thing you should do is build a small business. Because that's not the sexiest thing to be told or to do, but it is the healthiest thing you could do for a business.
Ooh, you bad man. I gotta know the acquisition. I know you started getting traction. You talking about 1 in 4 users are in Ivy Leagues that are getting internships. Like you got the data to suggest that it's working and working effectively, right? So I know you're getting those calls. What does it look like? How were you vetting the opportunities that came by? What was, you ain't got to tell us the numbers of the
That's
deal.
That's a whole other podcast. I mean, this is what I'll share on that. So
yeah.
I never started the business and thought about the end state as the outcome. Like I never thought about like an exit. And so it was a very reactive process. And it took I shouldn't say it took years. It was over the course of years that we eventually decided that we would sell the business. And so we had starts and stops. We had people come to us with offers. There were pump fakes. There were crazy nights that involved crazy companies that like, I have stories that we can share offline, like craziness. Very high highs, very low lows. And if you're not streamlined and running a very tight process to try to, land this plane correctly, it can happen in many different ways. Like there's this like saying that companies aren't sold, they're bought. That's great. If a company is bought, that means somebody comes in with a crazy offer and like, it's, like, that's great. That like, God bless those people where that happens. Like, but that is like going to the NBA. Like it really is hard. And it is very rare that happens. Most companies are sold. We were sold. We went through a process. We had bankers. We went out, we talked to a lot of companies, and we eventually found the best fit for us. And so that was our process. And I was very happy with the company that acquired us. It was like a crazy experience to go through.
Yeah. I know when in the process of acquisitions and stuff, one of the most painful processes, especially that have to go through it multiple times, is the due diligence process. When the company's doing it, and you got to pay for the due diligence to supply to certain, that shit gets annoying. You know what I mean? Sometimes it'll make you be like, look, I ain't gonna be doing this, but so many times. Well, every different company, you got to do it again and again. I need updated. I need to do like, you know what I mean? So I know the due diligence process was a pain in the ass. We talk about in business, right? The overall scheme of business is to develop a business, grow a business, and then technically eventually sell the business off, right? As like a part of like the old school business model, right? So what I want to ask you is like, I understand that you built this thing was true to your heart. I want to know, like, what made you actually, it's successful now, and I'm pretty sure it's successful enough where you're like, I could live off of this thing. What made you actually feel like you wanted, this is your baby, right? This is your child, like another child, right? What made you and your partner say like, okay, we did it, but we want to sell it now. We rather step apart. I don't know if they gave you an offer, because a lot of times when companies acquire other companies, they keep you on as like, C-suite individuals to help run the company and stuff like that for a certain number of years and things of that nature. But what made you really be like, I've done all I can do with this, and I think it's time for the next step?
So what would be helpful? Would it be helpful to give you the emotional state of affairs in your mind when you're answering that, or would it be helpful like the literal stages of like why we chose to sell the company? Which one would be more beneficial?
They both sound good.
Yeah, a little both is good.
All right, so let's start with like the literal. We ran the VC race. So we did not build a business that was built off of the foundation of being profitable. We built a business that was built off the foundation of external capital that gives us the fuel to scale as quickly as we can to capture a market that hadn't been captured previously. So even though we didn't capture the market, because we had the capital to go capture that market, we would eventually grow in and then acquire that market. That's a different approach than going customer by customer by customer and hiring based on like that profit that comes in. So it's a very specific way to build a company. So literally, we knew that the time was to sell the company because we were looking at a burning runway in front of us. And the choice was, do you go out and raise additional capital to get further diluted, or do you just find a home for it so you can land the plane? So it's like a very specific, literal reason why we chose to land a plane. And eventually we believed that by landing the plane in a much larger platform would create more impact for our community members, because we'd have a lot more resources inside of a much larger home than what we could do by ourselves. If we kept running the race, we would need every year or two to raise more and more capital to grow as large as we could to provide the impact that we felt we could get if we had just been a part of a larger platform. So that's like the literal reason why we sold it. The emotional reason, I think, why we came to the conclusion is that we did it for 8 years. And, like life kind of happens in four. If you go back to like high school and college and things like that, like, it's kind of like, so I felt like I did 2 tours, if you will, of it. And my first daughter was just born at that time. And there were other things I wanted to do. And, I really loved what I was doing, but I felt like I was not striving towards my potential anymore. I felt like I was at a place where I didn't have the same joy. When I first started the business,
pivot moment again.
it was Ryan and me, the two of us sitting in a room, and I was the CEO, but like there was nothing to be the CEO of. Like I was doing everything. At some point in time when I looked up and we had 130 employees, that wasn't what I didn't start the business to manage 130 people, right? So it's like, so you find yourself doing different things, which is fine. But like, I love the 0 to 1. I love the ideation stage. I found that I was being disruptive to the business because I was constantly having ideas. And when you're building a thing, like you can't keep like, at some point you got to stop the pivots, but my mind just works like that. I want to build 30 companies at one time. And I felt that like I was not allowed to do that. So it felt like it was the right time. It felt like it was the right time.
That's real. That's real. How'd you meet Doug Crazy Self? My brother Doug, man. You started Jody AI, man. Shout out to our big bro Doug Melville, man. Love you, babe.
Doug, wherever you are. So he knows what this means. Doug knows what this means.
So actually, Doug and I met because Doug was dating a woman whose executive assistant at the time was a woman I had just met. And that woman who I had just met is now my wife, who stopped being an executive assistant, decided we both quit. She quit, I quit. She decided she wanted to be a dentist, but she had to take post-bac classes. So she got into Columbia for post-bac classes, did 2 years there, and then she got into Columbia Dental School, and then did 4 years at Columbia Dental School. Meanwhile, I was building Jopwell over that time. So we grew together in different ways, married 3 kids later, and been together ever since. And so Doug and I met because my wife's boss said, hey, I'm dating this guy. And my wife was saying, hey, I'm dating this guy. And they were like, maybe they should meet each other. And Doug and I met because those two said we should meet. And that's how Doug and I met.
And started a business together. That is that's fire, though. Shout out to you and Doug, man.
When it's meant to be, it's meant to be, right? You'll find a way to the path you're supposed to travel, man. Like, look at that.
Totally. Yeah,
so
totally.
We only got a couple minutes left, bro.
Yeah.
Do you want to talk to us about Jody AI? Tell us about it.
Yeah, there's so much there. So basically my premise is right now in America, in corporate America, diversity, equity, and inclusion is a siloed experience. It sits with the diversity division, diversity team, diversity program. Now, that's drastically changing given the political climate that we live in. It's going to be distributed, meaning that it's going to go from that to being the responsibility of all people managers. So locally on a team level, an individual has to have the principles of DEI ingrained in themselves so that they can lead their team more inclusively. My belief is that in order to achieve that crossover, to go over that make that bridge happen, you can leverage generative AI so that that individual can have a personalized, inclusive coach to overcome the challenges and obstacles that they face that prevent them from showing up as an inclusive leader. And you can create a safe space, a private space where you can have that conversation so that you can ask the honest questions and get an inclusive, non-judgmental response. And so I deeply believe in the power of generative AI. And there's a lot that we're going to be announcing with it because I think we're seeing an opportunity to consolidate a lot of different platforms right now that are operating in this diversity, general, call it industry and space. And I think it's ripe for disruption. And I'm really motivated to think through how something meaningfully large and impactful can be built in this space.
I think you already got it. You can just say, I'm about to kick there. I'm going to take over. I want this piece of the pie. I ain't mad at it, bro. You're inspiring. I ain't going to lie.
Yeah, I'm glad that he acknowledged also the fact that, Nadege, you were saying something?
I was going to say, no, I think it's really inspiring. And I would love for you to share, like, if your younger self were here right now, like, what would something you want him to take away from this?
That the only thing that matters is family. Be a good husband, be a good dad. And like, the highs are never as high as they seem. The lows are never as low as they seem. And just stay chill. Like, it all works out. Everything is, you've never failed. So you should never believe that you will fail at a thing. And like, it's all good. And just remain a person of faith.
Message. Yeah, I like that.
Hey, man, like, listen.
This is a class. This is fire.
Yeah.
Before we get out of here, Porter, do me a favor. You know, this was we have to have a part 2. This is definitely the introduction. You know, there's a lot of people that's gonna be wondering like how to get in contact with you and, you know, where to look at, you know, the companies and how to get involved with what you're doing. Do me a favor and just let the people know what's the easiest way to find you, what's the easiest way to get in contact with you if they're looking to do that.
It's going to probably be the most boring answer you've ever gotten, but
yes,
LinkedIn,
it is. Okay.
LinkedIn is probably like the platform that I leverage the most. So that's probably the best place. And if you just want to see photos of the kids, because that's all I post, like, you can check out my social stuff, but it's very boring. So I would say LinkedIn is probably the place where I post the most amount of my thoughts around what I'm thinking. And also I'm a writer for Fast Company. So I've written, I don't know, close to 75 to 100 essays. So a lot of my thoughts around the DEI space I have pretty extensive essays in Fast Company and a large author page that you can check out all my content.
I love it. I love it. So with that being said, also, we want to officially welcome you to the More Than the Title family, Porter. You understand what I'm saying? So let me tell you, it's a two-part to what that means, right? We've had over 200 guests at this point, right? Now that you have become a part of the family, you now have access to any previous guests that we've had on the show. And in the future, if you ever see a guest that you want to connect with, regardless if you're in the same realm or the same industry or not, all it takes is a text to us. What we normally do after the show is we create a group chat. So I don't know if do we have your personal number already?
We got email, but I can put the number.
Okay, yeah. So if you don't mind, you can put your personal number in the group chat and we'll create a group chat, right? So what that does is it does two things. One, if you want to connect with anybody, you say, hey, I seen so-and-so on the show, I'd love to connect with them. We'll check your schedule. We'll check their schedule. We'll put you guys on a Zoom call. We'll introduce you guys and get off the call, right? We've done that now over 24 times. That's our contribution back to our guests. We don't gatekeep, right? We believe in trying to be the ones that build the bridge to connect like-minded individuals, right? And we've had a lot of successful deals come from these meetings, and we don't ask anything from that, right? That's number one. Number two, if you're having any type of an event and you would like support or you would like coverage of that event or anything, if you just want to, like I said, steak and beer, you know what I mean? You text us, hey guys, I'll be in New York and stuff like that. We'll come down and support you. And I'll tell you a funny story of how we actually got really connected with Doug, right? It was like that. Like we had Doug on the show and it was phenomenal, but Doug was like, hey guys, I'm having a birthday party. Would you guys be interested in coming down and celebrating with me, right? So we shoot the Addy, Doug, let's fucking do it, right? So we go down to Lower Manhattan and he has this birthday party and we just go in there and have a phenomenal time. And the way that our energy and the way we worked the room, and we knew a lot of people there, but the way we worked the room and just the energy, Doug was like, yo, you guys are something different. And that's how we really connected with Doug and started building our relationship with him. And, it's always support both ways, right? It's always support both ways. We text him to check up on him and things of that nature. And we always try to just present each other with opportunities, right? We don't abuse the relationship. We don't just ask for any reason. We say, hey, we got an idea. Would you like to be on this panel? He ended up being on a panel of ours when we live streamed from LinkedIn, right? He came out with a book. We found the book in the bookstore and we promoted the book. So it's just all about support, right?
He pulls up in the hot tub. He be watching our show. He pull up in the hot tub like, yo, what up, y'all, my boys? He be like, yo, Doug, man, you're a wild boy. But just to even give you context, how we met those also through the community. Miss Judy Jackson, shout out to Auntie. Right, so she's the one who made the connection. So shout out to Auntie, she made the connection. Like, you got to meet Porter. As soon as I saw your name, then I saw Doug. I said, Jody, yeah, that's Doug. So if you Doug homie, we already text Doug, so we already connected, bro. So we just want to say welcome to the family, and this is dope, man. This is definitely meant to happen, yo.
I appreciate it. Well, listen, congratulations to the three of you. It's not easy to produce anything, let alone the consistency of what you have done for over 200 episodes. That's unbelievable, and the energy you all bring and the genuine nature of it all is very commendable. So congratulations, and thank you for uplifting the community and doing what you all do. It's not easy, and so I appreciate it.
And with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, I said the word phenomenal. I said the word phenomenal at the beginning of the show. This brother came on again and he was vulnerable. He told you his story. He told you how important education is to him and how it affected him getting the positions that he got, right? He also told you that he took a chance on himself, even though he had a very well-paying job and he was stable. He said, I am not fulfilling myself, right? I'm not fulfilling myself. And what does it mean, right? Is the money worth me not feeling the fulfillment of joy in life and my purpose, right? He also told you that he's a family man. He has faith, right? And how important it is to take care of your family and support your family in your journey for what you're going through, right? So it leads off to everything that we've been talking about. He had a company. He built the company. He sold the company. He's going to start another company. And God knows he got ideas in there. He might start another company. But again, you can't start it unless you got skin in the game, which reiterates what we say to end the show every single episode. The dream is free.
But the hustle is sold separately, y'all. We're going to see y'all June 3rd. We got DJ Sus One coming through. Let's do it,
More Than the Title, baby. See y'all later.
What you know about me?